saying your name and where you are,
Yeah.
and then
Just start talking about anything that you, starting with early memories about school or learning or family or whatever it is that you think is important, that you are comfortable sharing. And Ira, you would like Aisha to talk to me. To
Yes,
just
right.
focus on me.
Oh, okay.
And we might ask questions occasionally, but we'll edit those out when we build the final piece.
Because we want it to just be your voice.
Yeah, we might want to know a little bit more about something or have a little bit different question, but anyway, is this good? Is this a good
Let
setup?
me adjust one.
This is my good side.
There you go.
I love it. I love it.
All right.
And so you're gonna just say your name.
Yeah.
My
School.
age and stuff.
Right.
Just like a
Yeah.
introduction.
Right.
And say your last name clear, make sure it's really clearly delineated so that people will know. Because this is a complicated name.
It's complicated in English. That's what I always say to people. It's not necessarily complicated in the language it came from.
But it is, I mean, it is.
For us, right,
I mean,
yeah.
because I started trying to make sense out of, I went, well, there's an is in there, you know, so.
Well, but the
anyway.
great thing with her is we went to visit Irish schools, and at the first school we went to, they told her she was pronouncing her name wrong.
Because in Ireland, M-O-R-A-N is
Moran.
Moran,
Not
but in the United
Moran.
States, it's Moran. And
So,
they said,
That's actually pretty cool though.
and these two girls came over to me from the school where we were, and they said, ma'am, I said, yeah, they said, we need to tell you, you're mispronouncing your name. They were trying to help me. It was so sweet. So anyway, so I'm excited.
okay.
We've loved the stories we've heard today, so just talk to me about you,
Anything?
1, 2,
anything you want to,
3.
and I'll ask you some questions, but you might want to start out by just talking about who you are as a learner and what you love, and how did that all get started,
Okay.
okay?
Hello, my name is Aisha Ndaishimie. And I moved to the States in 2007. I was like 5 years old. I moved from a country named Tanzania. I was in a refugee camp from like a war that had happened years before with my parents that caused them to move to Tanzania. So when I moved to the States in 2007, I started like kindergarten. So like I didn't really have too much of an educational shock, because like over there, females, they cut their hair. But over here, like at a young age, if your hair is cut, it's like a big deal. So like, and I didn't know the language, but like when I got to, I want to say 3rd grade, things were pretty normal for me. I've been to a couple schools here in Lexington. I'm kind of sick, so like my voice is gonna keep coming in and out. I've been to a couple schools in Lexington, but what I would say is like education-wise, I thought I was taking education serious, but I wasn't taking education serious, I want to say, until my 8th grade year. Because I'm not the best test taker, and I'm capable of like turning in assignments late and on time and having them turned in well, but I lack the self-discipline because I can be very, very lazy. I'm more of a off-paper person. Like if you tell me, like I'm more of a hands-on person. And so like coming to STEAM, my freshman year, I had an English teacher, her name was Carrie Patrick, and she allowed us to do this thing called 20% time. So like 20% of our class time, we would have to pick something that we felt was something that needed to be fixed within our community. And then we would have to pretty much come up with our plan to fix it if we could fix it. And that's all it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be just a plan. So my community, I have like me being African and as well as like pretty much being raised in America, I don't consider just my neighborhood community. I don't consider Lexington or Kentucky I don't consider America just my community. They're my community, but I also have a community across seas. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm gonna use this I know there's an issue with like kids not being able to have backpacks, or many kids dropping out because they don't have the money to take care of the school fees. So I started a nonprofit called Backpack Payback, and basically what I do is I collect like backpacks and school supplies, and then I take them back to my home country, Burundi, and I pretty much like supply the like about 300 kids. I've only been there twice, and so that was very it was very like emotional for me, because like before then I was known as a student, but I wouldn't say I was known in like the best way. Like I wasn't known for my potential because I'm not the best test taker. I'm a very opinionated person. I'm very outspoken, and sometimes that could be misinterpreted as like you're a disrespectful child, you're like very loud. But me being the person that I am, I was quiet. Like moving to the States here and having such a huge culture shock, I was quiet for so long that when I got comfortable, I felt like, okay, well, all the other American kids are so opinionated and stuff, so why can't I be opinionated? But me being a refugee kind of made me stick out more, so I guess those flaws stuck out more. So with this project, like it changed many people's views about me. Not that their views were right to begin with, but it kind of opened up their eyes, like, okay, like this kid is smart, like this kid has a heart to help others in education. Because although I'm not the best test taker or best looking student on paper, there's many kids that are, but they just don't have the platform or the money or the supplies to be able to show how academically smart that they are. That's just pretty much what I do.
It sounds like that helping other people in your heritage country is really important to you.
Very.
What do you think that other students in the school have learned, or in the community have learned, from helping you to realize building this nonprofit?
A lot of my peers, they see it as an opportunity to like know about a culture, because when they turn on the TV or they turn on the news, they hear of Africa, but they don't hear of it in the best way possible. Because like how do I describe it? If you're not someone that's lived in a certain area for, I want to say, more than a year, because even if you go there for 2 months and you're visiting, you're not really getting the raw cut out truth. I feel like once you live somewhere for 6 months to a year, you kind of like, you see the bad and the good. But when these news stations go to these countries and they're there for a week or they're there for a couple of days, they're just seeing the bad. And so even though I am helping out a specific issue, which is the education issue in my country, when because I throw fundraising events, and I'm a speaker. I like speaking. I'm very, very good at motivating people. I'm very, very good at like putting my words together, not to get my way, but to get to get people to understand where I'm coming from. And so with my nonprofit, I've been able to like show my friends and many other peers around me that like I'm African, and yes, there's bad parts of Africa, but there are many, many, many good things about it. And so my peers have, that's what I would say my peers have learned from me. And I feel like with my peers, since I started this at the age of 14, I'm 17 now. I started this my freshman year. It's kind of like some of my peers, they'll start t-shirt companies, or they'll have something, and they won't, in their heads, they won't be like, oh, I'm young, so I'm not going to do it. Because that was my fear at first. I was like, I'm so young, how can I do this? But at the age of 14, I was able to raise about so much money. I was able to help out 300 students. I was able to fly back across the world in a country where I'm from, but I'm too American for the Africans, and I'm too African for the Americans. And so, but I'm able to be American and African at the same time. Like, it's possible. And that's what I've learned. That's what I believe that other peers have learned from me, that you're able to be, you're not just one thing, you know. You're not just a student, you're not just a girl, you're not just a guy, like, you can be many things in one.
What could American kids learn from Burundi kids?
One thing I would say that American kids could learn from Burundian students, I would say, because my specific nonprofit is towards education, so let me not say kids, but when students one thing that American students can learn from African students or Burundian students is to not take things for granted. Is to like be grateful for literally everything. Like I know, like being raised in America, there's some things that I say, like, oh my gosh, the school food is so nasty. I hate riding the bus. It's so hot. Oh my gosh, like why am I wearing uniform? Just things that I've like have kind of rubbed off on me and I've complained about. But going back there, because I've been back there twice. I recently came back. I recently went back the summer before this school year started. These kids, they have to walk from school. These kids, they don't get fed breakfast, they don't get fed lunch. These kids, some of them drop out because their parents would like have to feed the family instead of sending them to school. And many times for females, that causes them to get married at a young age, which leads to many other things like being pregnant or being abused. For guys, it leads them to fall into things that aren't beneficial to them. And just be grateful. They have to, like, some of them, they walk a long way, whether it's raining, whether it's hot, and like just be grateful. Even with the teachers, because we're not directly paying the teachers to teach us. Even if you do wear a uniform, you don't have to pay to wear that uniform. You don't have to pay to even come to school. You don't have to pay for your food. Like, we have so many benefits that we don't take them, that we take them for granted. And I don't blame them for not taking it for granted, because if you don't know any worse, you can't, like, it's hard for me to understand having something so good if I haven't experienced something bad. But from someone that has experienced the bad and has experienced the good, we take so many things for granted, literally. Even something as simple as cutting your hair. Like in Burundi, there's some schools where if you're a female and you don't cut your hair, you can't come. Like me, I'm Muslim. There's some schools that if you go there, you can't even wear your hijab. Like, it's there. So for us to be able to wear what we want, talk back to the teachers and not get, punished, like physically punished for it, for us to be able to come to school and even have the option to eat this horrible lunch food, for us to even have the option to be on the bus, like, that, it's a blessing. As much as we hate to admit it, it's a huge blessing, because if you take education serious, even things like college, like, it'll come. You can, like, you even have the chance to get a full ride. You have the chance to get a half ride. These kids, they have to pay from kindergarten, first grade, like, all through their college career. And many times, even if they do finish it, they don't even have any jobs to fall back to. Whereas in America, if you're a student and you finish high school, you'll still have a job to fall back to. Even if it's not the best job, at least you have that job. Many of these people, they don't. So
when you get up in front of a group, let's pretend you're on stage.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to them that you think gets them to really support your nonprofit? What do you want people to hear? And just pretend that maybe I'm sitting in the audience and you want me to provide
All
you
teachers,
with some support.
please log on to the YouTube channel.
And let's wait
Coach
till
Vaughn's
this.
email has instructions.
Usually when I'm in front of a crowd, I usually I'm not really big on science, but what I can say is nobody chooses what race that they're in. Nobody chooses what gender that they're born into. Nobody chooses what culture they're born into. Nobody chooses what religion that they're born into. So that's usually what I say to get people to understand that, like, the kids that I'm trying to help could easily, like, they could have easily been you. Literally, it's literally that simple, because before you're born, there's not a sign-up sheet where you're like, yeah, I would like to be a white female and I would like to be born in Florida and I would like my parents to have this much money. You don't get to choose that. It's literally that simple. And for me even being able to come to America, that was a lottery system. It wasn't like, let's see who has the best grades, let's see who has the most money. No, it's literally a lottery system. And with lottery, it's so easy for you not to get picked. There's thousands of people applying to this. And so I usually say that to just get people to realize that, like, because many people, they have the mindset as, like, as long as I'm secure, as long as I'm doing good, I just need to worry about myself. But no, It's not like that, because the people that need help could easily be you. One day you could be a millionaire, and let's say something happens and you're broke. If you're passing people on the street and they need money, like, who knows who or what those people were before they got here. They could have been probably the most successful people in their town. You don't know. So it's just, I usually say that to get people to sympathize with the fact that, like, it's really that easy for, like, it's not like these people choose to be in the financial situation that they are. It's not that these people choose to be born where they are. It's the fact that it can literally happen to any of us. It's that simple. Yeah.
What challenges have you had along your path? You're still young. I know that you've talked about, just that probably spending time in a refugee camp when you were little had to be a challenge. What kinds of things do you want people to know about when kids have challenges, and lots of kids have challenges? What kinds of things should we as educators really understand when kids come to school with challenges that we might not understand so well?
As far as the refugee camp, it was a challenge, but I would say it was more of a challenge for my parents. Like I said, I was like 5 years old when I moved here, and from what I can remember, which I can't remember much, I had a pretty nice life. I don't know, I haven't experienced bad, except for me, like, physically going and seeing some, like, other my family members living the way that they're living. I personally haven't experienced, like, my parents lived through a war. I haven't experienced something that bad. But going back to your question, if I could remember what it is.
Just thinking about what should teachers, because you said that it took you a little while to kind of adjust to language and so forth. What should teachers really think about or really be responsive to about children, when children come to school with challenges, and it could be all kinds of different challenges? What's important for teachers to think about?
What I can say is the teacher that got me to start this nonprofit, she didn't get me to start the nonprofit, but she gave me, like, the platform. I'm sure she probably heard from, like, some more of my other teachers, like, yeah, she can be disruptive in class, yeah, she's very, very opinionated, but I had literally no behavior issues with this teacher. She was very kind to me. She recognized that I'm not a paper person, I'm more of a get up and do action person, and, like, I felt comfortable enough to confide in her. And I know that, like, she wouldn't sugarcoat it. Just because she's my teacher, she wouldn't sugarcoat things with me. She would tell me straight up. And I know that when I said something to her, it would be between us, if that makes sense. Like, there's times in the past where I would come and I would, like, vent to one of my teachers, like, let's say, like, in the elementary years. And they would bring that back to my parents. And what they failed to realize is, like, if a student trusts you enough to vent to you, unless it's something that's, like, oh, this child is gonna harm themselves, if they come to you venting to something, like, you need to keep that between you all, because sometimes taking it back to, like, let's say a parent, you don't, like, once you leave, you don't know what happens to that child, if that makes sense. Like, there's been, because, like, of course, me being African and my parents pretty much being, like, living in Africa their whole life, they have a certain mentality of parenting. And it's not a secret, like, even here, teachers used to spank students to get them to understand, but it has evolved here, but that doesn't mean that it's evolved there. And so, like, if I come to a teacher and I'm like, hey, this and that happened, they see it as in, like, oh, your parents abusing you, but it's not really abuse, because they're used to their minds, like, it's really hard to, they say that, like, a quote that I've heard, they say that it's easier to teach an infant a new language than it is to teach an adult a new language. When someone's been raised in a certain, like, demographic and they've been raised a certain way, it doesn't mean that.
Good afternoon, STEAM Academy. This is Miss Moore. I have a couple of announcements for you.
love
This is
that.
a reminder that tomorrow is Senior Picture Day. So seniors, make sure that you come dressed nice for your picture. And also, this is a reminder for students that want to nominate themselves for STAC. There's a link on your Canvas. If you need any help on how to do that, come and see me. But we would love to have you nominate yourself for STAC. Thanks.
There's not a
and everybody
plug
have a great
behind
day.
you.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to plug in.
Let me look
Yeah.
behind you first, okay?
Yeah. Just over here. Right behind that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I can do that.
But I would say
Hold on just a second.
Right. Just wanna make sure our battery doesn't die while you're talking.
Is that it? No?
Yeah, got
It's
it.
not going in. Hold on. It's one of those things where, turn that over. Hold on. I'm gonna put this for a moment.
Okay, that's good.
This one, yeah. You got it?
Got it. Okay.
No, it's not going in. I don't know why it's going in. If I electrocute myself here, it'd be
Be
very
careful.
sad. There we go. All right,
Okay,
if all else fails.
now we're back. Okay.
I love your voice.
Yeah.
My
You
voice.
have a really voice in terms of a real communication style that really puts out there what you mean. It's very clear and articulate in being able to aim towards, this is what I want this person to hear. It's a real gift.
Thank you.
What do you want to do when you grow up?
I want to like further my nonprofit, so I want to do like international development. That's what I want to study. But I also think that I'm the best therapist, but I'm not the best at taking my own advice. But I think I would not be the worst motivational speaker. But I also want to live an expensive life, so it's hard. Pretty much because, like, I'm a giver. Everything that I do, I give. Like, even with my nonprofit, I give. I don't receive anything. And I spend so much time and energy, like, throwing fundraising event, going to meetings, canceling plans with my friends to go make sure that I'm able to, like, meet with this person. Because obviously they're doing better than I am, so their schedule's busier than mine. But everything that I do is I give. And so with my career, well, with my future career, because it's my senior year, I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm like, what can I do that is helping others, but I'm also able to take care of myself? Because nonprofit, like, how am I gonna be able to, like, take all these? Because I love traveling. So, yeah, that's my brain fart right now. I don't know what I want to major in. Like, I would love to be a nonprofit. I would love to further my career in that. But I'm like, how am I gonna eat? How am I gonna feed myself?
That's always a real legitimate challenge.
Yeah,
Do you
that's
have, are you going to college next year?
Yeah, I
Where-
plan on going to NKU or Howard in DC, but I don't want to leave my mom. And I'm a car rider today, so I should be fine to talk a little longer.
I'm interested in your, because I said, you've got this really clear passion in your voice that very much lays out, this is what I believe in, this is what I stand for. When you think about that motivational speaker idea to support up your nonprofit, does your nonprofit do you have a website?
I have a GoFundMe. Like I said, I started this when I'm 40, and I'm only 17. And many things need money. And like I said, I'm 17. I'm like very broke. And so with my nonprofit, like every single step that I decide to make is a learning experience, because like nobody is willing to stand next to me and walk me. Like someone that's signed up for a 501c3 or someone that has started a nonprofit, they're not willing to like sit next to me and guide me through the steps that I need to take. So pretty much everything that I do is by myself. I show myself the way, and my parents are huge supporters, but them themselves, I don't know if that makes sense, but They themselves.
It's too loud. You wanna let that clear?
I may let that clear for a little bit and we could just talk